Hey guys, welcome back to the Arlecchino King of Cards YouTube channel. I am Arlecchino, and today we have another deck profile to go through. Now, if you remember in the last video, I said that I might be doing a Gold Pride deck profile. Well, as you can see, that's exactly what this is. So, before the video begins, please do remember to like and subscribe because it really boosts my numbers and lets me know that you guys are enjoying the content. And leave some comments down below of what you'd like to see next, because I'm really curious to hear your guys' opinions and really provide you with the best possible content. But without further ado, let's get into this. So we're going to start our deck profile with the main deck, and especially the monsters in the main deck. So first we have 3 copies of Gold Pride Captain Carry. So all the Gold Pride monsters can be special summoned if we have less life points than our opponent, which is why we're running a certain engine in this deck, but more of that in a bit. So yeah, Carry special summons, and then on summon, she searches the Gold Pride Trap, which is a really helpful piece of interruption that I'll show you later. Next, we have 3 copies of Gold Pride Leon. Now, Leon has the same effect as special summon, however, when he's on the field, quick effect, you can synchro summon a Gold Pride synchro monster from your extra deck during your opponent's turn, which is a great piece of interrupt because the synchro monsters that you're summoning give you pops, and that's why Leon is so brilliant. As well as this, when Leon is summoned, he revives any Gold Pride from your graveyard, which partnered with Gold Pride Chariot Carry's effect to send a Gold Pride to the grave, basically gives you a free search of any Gold Pride monster, and really helps you get into one of your 3 copies of Gold Pride Rollerballer. Now, most people only run 2 or 1 Rollerballer, however I'm running the 3 of just because the trap requires you to reveal 3 named Gold Prides, and if you've run out of one of your copies of Leon, that can not necessarily guarantee that you're going to get the monster you want to see. So I'm running the extra Rollerballer just to make sure I really get the maximum use out of the trap. Rollerballer also summons, and then quick effect allows you to fusion summon on your opponent's turn, which is really brilliant for going into the fusion monster that equips your opponent's monsters to it when it's summoned, which is a great piece of removal and interrupt to have on your end board. Next, we have 1 copy of Gold Pride Eliminator, who is the newest Gold Pride monster. He can also special summon himself, but he does not have a quick effect like Carry, which is unfortunate because if he did, he'd be pretty good. He is a tuner, however, which means that you can use him, Orc, and Carry to go into the very powerful new level 8 synchro monster that the deck recently received, which is brilliant. It's 2 pops, and then when it's shuffled back into the extra deck, like all Gold Pride monsters, it'll special summon the Eliminator. Eliminator can also banish any Gold Pride from the graveyard and special summon a token that's the same level as the banished monster, which is an extra brilliant piece to give us another body on board and allow us to synchro summon more. Now let's get into the engine that we're running. I'm just going to push these up here a little bit to make room. So the engine that we're running, as many of you might have guessed already, is the P.U.N.K engine. Due to their inherent effects to pay life points, they're ideal for this deck. So first we're running 3 Z-Armin, pays 600 life points and adds any P.U.N.K monster from your deck to your hand, which is a brilliant effect. It's just a free search, and it goes really well with our 2 copies of No P.U.N.K Foxy Tune, who can discard herself and then any other card in your hand and special summon any P.U.N.K from your deck. Now this is a brilliant effect for putting bodies on the board, but we're mostly going to be using it in our combo to produce 1 copy of Yu-Gi-Oh! P.U.N.K Sharakusai, and that is because Yu-Gi-Oh! P.U.N.K Sharakusai has a brilliant effect that allows you to pay 600 life points and then fusion summon the copy of Yu-Gi-Oh! P.U.N.K Rising card from your extra deck, which is a brilliant effect. And it's also got a quick effect to synchro summon on your opponent's turn, so if you do get stopped there, you've still got a piece of interrupt, which is lovely to see in this deck. Next, we have our 1 copy of No P.U.N.K Deer Note. She can reveal 1 other P.U.N.K monster in our hand and special summon either herself or that revealed P.U.N.K, which is great for putting bodies on the board. However, it does then send the non-revealed one, the non-special summoned one, to the graveyard, which isn't so great because we really want to use her graveyard effect, but it only triggers when she's sent from field to grave, and that will revive any level 5 or higher psychic monster from your graveyard. And now that is a great effect because it's a level 5, any P.U.N.K monster except a level 5, sorry, and that's great because it allows us to go into our rank 8 plays, which you will see in the combo video I've got coming soon. Next we have 1 copy of Jaruri P.U.N.K Madame Spider. Now, a lot of people don't run the Spider for the consistency, but I'm a really big fan of Spider. She just pays 600 life points and adds any punk trap from our deck to our hand, and that gives us a negate, which is brilliant. However, as well as this, when we activate a punk card or effect that targets a card our opponent controls, quick effect, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls and its attack becomes halved, which is really great for stopping OTK decks or beatdown decks, so that's why we're running the one of them. Now I'm just going to stack the punks just so we can look at the next monsters in the deck. There's not many more, don't worry. Finally, for the monsters, we have our 2 copies of Effect Veiler and our 1 copy of Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill. I'm running these ratios because I lost my 3rd Effect Veiler, and I prefer to run 2 Effect Veiler because Effect Veiler is a great hand trap to have. However, you could easily replace a few things later in the deck with hand traps and maximize these. I just like to run a smaller hand trap package and focus on the going first aspects of the deck. And that is it for the monsters, so now let's move on to the spells and traps of the deck. So to begin with, we've got 3 Gold Pride Better Luck Next Times. That's the continuous spell. Now, this spell has a brilliant effect, which when it's activated, it adds a Gold Pride monster from the deck to the hand, and then we pay life points equal to that Gold Pride monster's attack. That's brilliant because it means that we'll have less life points than our opponent and can then summon all of our Gold Pride monsters, which is a really great effect. And then in the end phase, if our Gold Pride monster gets returned to the extra deck, we get to draw a card, which is brilliant because all our Gold Pride monsters do that mandatorily, and it just means that we get lots of draws, which is really lovely to see. Next, we have 3 copies of Gold Pride The Crowd Goes Wild. That is also a search spell that can cost us life points. It reveals a Gold Pride monster in our hand and adds 1 Gold Pride monster with a different name from the deck to the hand. Then we can special summon it and pay life points equal to its attack. Now, I'm a big fan of this card because it's not continuous, so if it is popped, it's not negated. However, the drawback is that you have to reveal a Gold Pride in hand, and that's quite costly in this deck because sometimes we don't draw all the Gold Prides. However, our punk combo does search out a Gold Pride, so if we don't get negated there, we are okay to use this card. Next, standard in any punk deck, I'm sure you'll know this card. We have 3 copies of Emergency Teleport. Now, it just special summons any level 3 or lower psychic monster from the hand or deck and banishes it during the end phase. Really great starter for us. It just gives us our copy of No Punk Z-Armin and then gets our whole combo rolling. So that's why we're running 3 of that. But that is it for the spells. You don't run many in this deck because you don't really have any benefit from them. So next, I'm going to show you the rest of the cards we're running. We're running 1 copy of Drury Punk Dangerous Gaboo. These are the traps if you hadn't been able to tell. Now, Dangerous Gaboo, add it off the Madame Spider and target 1 effect monster your opponent controls and negate its effects. Then if we control a punk, we gain life points equal to that card's attack, which is a brilliant effect because it means that the life point gain is kind of fixed a little bit, but then it also means that, there we go, focus the card. It means that our opponent's monster is negated, which is brilliant. However, it does only do on field, which is the small downside there. Next, we have our 1 copy of Gold Pride Start Your Engines, which is searched by our Gold Pride Captain Carry, as I said. If our opponent normal or special summons a monster, we target one of the monsters special summoned or normal summoned, and we reveal 3 Gold Prides in our extra deck, in our main deck, and then we place them face down like that. Our opponent chooses one of them, and we summon that one, and then we pop the summoned monster. This is really great. It's a pop, but then also a free special summon of any Gold Pride from our deck, which gives us all of our combos. You know, going into the fusion monster, going into the synchros, it's a brilliant effect, but we're only running 1 because it's searchable and a bit bricky if you draw it going second. Finally, for the main deck, we're running 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Now, Infinite Impermanence is just a generic hand trap, it's negate, there's no reason we wouldn't run this, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. So yeah, now let's move on to the extra deck. So first I'm going to go through the fusion monsters in the extra deck. We have 1 copy of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Punk Rising Carp. Now that's the one we summon off of our copy of Sharakusai, as you can see he's in the artwork there. And you can tribute Rising Carp and special summon up to 2 punk monsters with different names from either our hand deck or except level 8 monsters. Now that is brilliant, it just gives us the 2 free bodies on board. But then it also has a second effect. If you synchro summon using it as material, you can target one punk monster we control, and it can make a second attack during each battle phase, which is pretty nice. However, we're not really using that effect much. If you have to use that effect, something's gone very wrong. Next, we're running 2 copies of Gold Pride Rollerballer, Gold Pride Pinballer, get the names confused sometimes. Now, this card is brilliant. It requires 1 Gold Pride Rollerballer and then 1+ Gold Pride monsters, and then on summon, you attach your opponent's monsters to it up to the amount of materials used. Then, well, that's a brilliant effect. However, if our life points are lower than our opponent's, the effect and activation cannot be negated, which is also brilliant. And then in the end phase, it does what every Gold Pride does and returns to the extra deck, and then summons a Gold Pride Rollerballer from our graveyard, which gives us recursion, which is a brilliant effect to have on the field. So yeah, those are the only fusion monsters we're running, but let's move on to the synchro monsters. We're running 1 copy of Gold Pride Star Leon to summon off of our Gold Pride Leon. It on summon just pops a card our opponent controls if we have less life points, and then it gains attack equal to their attack and makes their attack 0. Brilliant card to have in the deck. It really helps out. Now, it also bounces back to the extra deck in the end phase, like all of them do, but it's just great. It stops their OTKs by making their attack 0. It really benefits us, it pops one of their cards. It's a lovely card to have. Next, we have Gold Pride Eradicator. So this one isn't summoned quick effect. You have to hard summon this on your turn, which is a shame, but it's okay. And during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can target 1 Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link monster on the field, or if our life points are lower than our opponents, we target 2 and we destroy them. Now that's really lovely. Just two pops and two board wipes basically, because if we're popping their extra deck monsters, it's probably all they've got at the moment if they've been link summoning, which is why it's so lovely to have. Pretty high attack as well, so if you summon it hard make it in your turn, you can usually OTK with it. It does bounce to the extra deck in your at the end phase though of the turn it uses its effect, however, not the turn it's summoned, and then it summons the Assassinator. So that's why we're running 1 copy of them. Now next we're running a few random level 8s. We're running Adamancipator Risen Dragite. It's just a generic spell negate. If you get negated in your combos, it's really easy to go into this and just pass on that, and that can stump quite a lot of decks, so that's why we're running that. We're also running 1 copy of Draco Berserker of the 10E. It's just a generic rank 8. When your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can banish it. And then if an attacking card destroys an effect monster by battle and sends it to the grave, this card gains attack equal to the destroyed monster's original attack. Also, it can make a second attack on a monster during this battle phase. That's a great effect. It gives you more attack, it gives it 2 attacks, and that means that you're very easily able to beat high attack monsters, get over those towers that your opponents are running, which is why we're running the copy of this, because a lot of people aren't going to expect to see this in a deck like this, but that's why we run it. Next, we have our 1 copy of P.U.N.K Jam Dragon Drive. Now, P.U.N.K Jam Dragon Drive, we're making it off of the monsters we summon off the Rising card. We'll use Deer Note, then any level 3 tuner. If it's special summoned, we can pay 600 and add any level 3 psychic type monster from deck to hand. Now that is great for the follow-up. We just give ourselves a P.U.N.K for next turn. Usually you're adding an extra copy of Z-Armin. As well as this, if our opponent activates a card or effect in response to your P.U.N.K card or effect's activation when it's in your grave, you can special summon the Dragon Drive. That's also a brilliant effect, being able to recur itself and then fuse off with the Sharaku size quick effect into your copy of Yu-Gi-Oh! P.U.N.K Amazing Dragon. So if Amazing Dragon is synchro summoned, you target cards your opponent controls up to the number of level 3 psychic monsters with different names you control and in your graveyard, which is a lot, and return them to the hand. It's a great piece of removal, lots of attack, however, it is hard to set up, which is why we're only running the 1 copy. As well as this, you can target 1 P.U.N.K monster in your grave, except Amazing Dragon, and special summon it, non-quick effect. And that's a really nice effect to have. It gives us our recursion, it lets us special summon our starters from the grave and stop our deck going down. So yeah, that's why we're running the copy of that. That's all for the synchro monsters, however. Now let's move... Oh, no it's not. Pep. Everyone runs Pep. Do I need to say why we're running Pep? Not really. While your life points are less than or equal to your opponent's, this synchro summon card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. Once per turn, pay 1,000 life points, then target 1 monster you control and 1 card your opponent controls, banish them. And this is the effect that matters. At the start of the battle phase, you can make this card gain attack equal to the difference in your life points and your opponent's. Now this deck pays a lot of life points, meaning your Pep is going to be a pretty big body, and it's quite easy to just swing for game with Pep. I've done it lots, and even though it's only a one-of, it's probably one of the most important cards in the deck. And look at that lovely rarity too, beautiful. Finally, we have our Xyz monsters in this deck. There are quite a few more than you might think. First, we have 2 Gold Pride Chariot Carry. It's just summoned with 2 level 3s. It searches a Gold Pride spell, so usually you're making that with 2 Punk monsters, and you're searching the Gold Pride continuous spell to search out Carry, special summon her and add the trap. However, if your life points are lower than your opponent's, you can then dump your Rollerballer. Any monster, however, we dump Rollerballer, because then, with the trap, we summon one of our Leons and revive the Rollerballer, which is really helpful to do, as that gives us more bodies on board, and it gives us our quick effects and our interrupts for our opponent's turn. That's why we're running 2 of this card. Next, we've got the 1 copy of number 38 Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy. Now, this is really great because you do get a point in the combo, as you'll see in the combo video coming soon, where there are 2 level 8s on your board. You can go into Hope Harbinger at this point, and that's brilliant against spell decks. So say you're playing against Runic, you can make Hope Harbinger negate the Fountain, and they'll probably lose. However, if you're not playing against a spell deck, at this point, you're going to go into your copy of Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, which is an Omni Negate instead. Now, that's great against everything. It's great against Snake Eyes, it's great against Tenpai. Just being able to stop a monster activating its effect by detaching a material, also destroying it. Well, if the detached material was a galaxy, which it won't be, but it's just such a great effect, and it's definitely the kind of effect we need in this deck, which is why we're running that copy. However, it is a bit pricey, so maybe just stick to your Harbinger if you're looking to budget a little bit. Finally, for the final card in the extra deck, we're running 1 copy of Divine Arsenal AA Zeus Sky Thunder. Now, Zeus is brilliant. Once per turn, if an Xyz monster has attacked, you can just special summon it on top of that instead of special summoning at level 10. So attack with carry, summon Zeus. Then you can detach 2 materials and completely wipe the board except for himself. It's always been a great card, it still is a great card, and I managed to pick myself up one when it was quite a cheap card as well, which I'm quite happy about. So that's why we're running the 1 Zeus. It's just a brilliant board wipe and a great last resort for the deck, and I'm very happy to have it. So yeah. Now, I won't be doing an extra side deck in my videos, because I think the side deck is very dependent on locals or worlds or whatever kind of tournament you're going to. It's because more competitive tournaments, you're going to be building different side decks than your local side decks, for example. However, I will have a video out soon on what I think is the optimum side deck for the format, so if you'd like to see that, stick around. I'm also coming out with a hero deck profile and combo tutorial, so if you'd also like to see that, make sure you stick around. But that has been my Gold Pride deck list. I do hope you enjoyed. If you can think of any changes I can make, please let me know in the comments. But yeah, for now, goodbye.